Well, thank you very much, Program Director, Mr. Golding. Well, first and foremost, let me say at the outset, ladies and gentlemen, I am much more poorer in the sense that I was unable to sit and to listen to the proceedings as they were continuing in their entirety, because otherwise I would have been a much more better person